All right, so we're going to discuss how to solve most of these problems from the quiz on Desmos, all right? And I know that some of y'all are very aware of this stuff, but we're going to go through this problem by problem, and I want to show you how to kind of improve as a test taker, right? And we've done all these by hand before. So, and we're going to continue to do them by hand, but I also want to show you this tool to maybe help you out a little bit and come test time. So all you have to do is type in, what this says. So I got negative 7x minus 4 equals negative 109. Is everybody okay on that? Let's grab those notes off the top. All right, so obviously I can't see the graph, correct, on Desmos. So if I just hit the minus sign, it will zoom out until I can. All right, so this, you see how the point on the graph that my mouse is over says x is 15, correct? Well, that's the answer. D is 15. So that is the correct answer. Everybody understand how I got that for this problem? It graphs it for you, and obviously we're solving for x, so where the graph crosses the x-axis, that is the answer. We're good on that? Are there any questions? Okay, then let's look at number 2. So this is a multi-step equation with variables on both sides, and you would have to distribute here. All right, so if I just want to get rid of the last problem, I just obviously click that x there to clear it out, and I'm just going to type this problem in. Negative 2, parentheses, 4x minus 1, close parentheses, equal to 18 minus 6x. You notice the problem has the variable n in it, correct? I can't use n in this program in Desmos. I'm only going to use x and y. That's why these are the only two variables available right here. We okay on that? All right, so this crossed at negative 8, right? That's the answer. Negative 8 is B right there. Are there any questions on how to use Desmos to solve? Please ask if we don't understand so we can get this cleared up for our test on Friday. Okay? Now, you'll notice number 3 is an inequality, which is different than an equation. All right, so remember, when we have inequalities, we're going to have shadings. All right? So let's type this in, exactly what it says. 8 minus 9x. That is a greater than or equal to sign, 53. All right, so you'll notice, right? I have shading. You see the green shading? Over here, which way is it shaded? To the left or to the right of the line? To the left, right? Over here. Okay? So I can't make this any easier than what I'm going to say, all right? So you'll notice that this is a greater than sign, correct? Or greater than or equal to. Which way is this arrow pointing? Like, if I was looking literally at an arrow to point, which way is this arrow pointing? To the left or to the right? To the right. Like you see the tip of the point going like this, right? Pointing that way, correct? Well, I'm either going to pick, it's either going to be a greater than or equal to, or it's going to be a less than or equal to, all right? So I know it's either going to point that way or it's going to point this way, okay? Now, let's look at the shading. Which way is the shading going on your screen? Right, everything's shaded this way, right? So shouldn't my arrow be pointing this way? Okay, so let's look and see what x should be. X is negative 5. So I got, well, on this one, I only have one answer that says negative 5, which is D, correct? So that's obviously the answer. But most of the time I would have two answers that say negative 5 with a different inequality sign. Okay? So the shading's this way. This arrow is pointing that way. That is the answer. Everybody okay? All right. Scroll down and go to number 4. All right, so same thing here. You'll notice I guarantee that the answer is negative 12. Well, because I got two answers down here that say negative 12, right? And I got two different signs with it. One's a less than, one's a greater than. All right, but let's check it out. Negative 6x plus 8 is greater than 80. Okay, so which way is my shading pointing, like going? Is it to the left of the line or to the right of the line? To the left. Okay, so I'll check my answer. It's obviously negative 12, right? Which I said it probably would be. Correct, it will be B, because look at this arrow. This arrow is pointing this way. Our shading is this way. If our shading was over here on the right-hand side of the graph, it would have been D, because the shading would be going that way. The arrow points which way the shading is going. Any questions? All right, number 5. Let's see if we can figure this one out. I'm going to graph it. I'm going to show you the shadings, and I'm going to see if you can figure out the correct answer. So 7, open parenthesis, x plus 9, close parenthesis, is greater than negative 77. All right, so the answer is right there on negative 20. All right, AJ said C. Do we agree? Disagree? Yep. Are we good on that? That should be very simple, right? Are there any questions? Okay, now, number 6. It's a two-step equation. We just type in, so 108 equals negative 4 plus 8x. All right, cross right there, 14. Answer's A, 14. Any questions? All right, now, number 7 says, what is the y-coordinate in the solution of the system of equations shown? So all I need to know is just the y-coordinate, correct? And remember, with systems of equation, the first equation right there, we type in right here. So 4x plus y equals negative 5. All right, then I type in the other one. Negative 4x minus 2y equals negative 2. All right, so how do I know what the answer is? And obviously, I'm going to zoom in a little bit to see a little bit better. But how can I know what the answer is with both of these graphs on my screen? Correct, where they intersect, where they cross one another. And so that point is right there, right? You see where the green and the blue line, they intersect each other right there. Perfect. So the solution to this system of equation is negative 3, 7. But it doesn't ask for the x and the y. It only asks for the y. So what is the y value that you see? Correct, 7. So the answer is D. So I've done 1 through 7 in strictly Desmos, right? I haven't written down a single thing. You could do all these by hand, and I've shown you how to do all these by hand, and we've spent a bunch of time doing it by hand. Okay, but I'm trying to teach you some better test-taking skills to use the tools that are available to you on test and the EOC. Okay? All right, now, number 8 cannot be done in Desmos at all. Which 4 relations are functions? So how do I know when I look at like A, that is a mapping. How can I know that that is a function or not a function? Correct. The left-hand side right here is all your x values, right? And your x values can only be used one time. Each input can only have one output. All right, so I can only have one line coming out of each x value. That means it was only used once. All right, so obviously A is a function. So A is one of my answers. Remember, I got to select 4 here. All right, so make sure you circle A on your paper. All right, is B a function? All right, why not? Correct. You see, I got 2 lines coming out of 2 here. That means it's not a function because it was used twice. Are we okay on that? So B is not an answer. All right, how do I know when I look at a problem like C and D? Because these are just ordered pairs. So how can I know if something is a function with an ordered pair? Okay, so all my x values have to be a different number, right? They cannot repeat. All right, so let's look at x. Remember, x is always on the left. X always comes first. So, all right, is C a function then? Yes, it is. All of the x values are a different number. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're good. That's a function. So I have two answers so far that are functions, right? A and C. What about D? Correct. Not a function. You see how I got a 1 here and a 1 here? They repeat, so it's not a function. They all have to be a different number. All right? So let's say you don't even know if E is 1, right? This was a lesson on IXL. So if you've done this lesson, you will be aware of this. But let's say we don't know, right? So let's skip that. We already have 2 that are functions, correct? So obviously, 2 more will be as well. All right, is F a function? How do you know? Correct, it passes the vertical line test. Remember, you just make a vertical line with your pencil over the graph in different places, and the graph can only go through your pencil one time. If it does, it's a function. If it goes through more than one time, it is not a function. All right, so F is a function. All right, well, I don't have any more answer choices, right? So that would mean that E has to be a function. See, if you didn't know, I use process of elimination here, and I know that E's a function. Okay, so that would be my fourth one. Now, this is actually piecewise, and you don't really do this until Algebra 2, but we put this on here because you'd seen this on IXL, all right? You can have an open and closed dot directly above one another, and it's still a function. But if I have 2 closed dots, which I don't on this problem, but if I did, it would be not a function. All right, see how that one's open, that's closed? If both of them were closed, it would not pass the vertical line test, which would mean it would not be a function. Yes? Were they on top of each other? Yeah, that would be not a function. I would have to look at it. Okay. And you can pull that up a little bit later. All right, so we're back to system of equation. Can I do this in Desmos? Because I couldn't do the last one in Desmos, so can I do this one? All right. We don't sound too confident about that now. All right, so how do you know what the answer is then? How can I know if I put this in Desmos what the answer would be? All right, so yes, if you're doing it by hand, right, we would use elimination, and you would multiply one of the equations by a -1 to get it to cancel out. That's good. All right, but you don't need to. Desmos does it for you. Right. But how do I know what the answer is? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, what is Desmos going to do to those 2 functions right there?
Correct. Where the 2 lines intersect. Just like, look, this last one that I still have typed in, this is still a system of equation. It was wherever the lines intersected, that was the answer. Okay? You can cut off the left one. Sweet. All right. All right, so remember, we want to see where the lines intersect. They intersected right there at 2, 7.